Why is my Fire TV remote not working?
I'm assuming you actually have the remote and range of the TV.
Of course.
And that the batteries in it are charged.
I know it won't work if the batteries aren't charged.
The remote won't work if the batteries are running low, and I've heard complaints that the Fire TV remote heats them.
I can charge the batteries again or replace them, but I don't think that's the issue.
It is sometimes due to a bad remote. You also need to pair the remote with the Fire TV for it to work.
You do that by holding down the home button for at least 5 seconds, and you have 5 minutes to do it after turning on the TV or it goes to sleep, though powering it all down and taking out the batteries lets you try it all over again. Give me some other thing to try.
Have you sat on it lately?
It isn't obviously broken.
I've heard of software glitches causing it not to work, especially after a software update. You can solve that by turning it off, waiting a minute and turning it back on.
I didn't think of rebooting the TV for a problem with the remote control.
I'd normally suggest holding down the play and select buttons to reboot the Fire TV, but if the remote is the problem, that may not work.
What would cause the remote's buttons not to work?
If the remote has been damaged by spilled beverages, you could get erratic responses of buttons or it suddenly rewinding when you want to play.
The stickiness of dried-on soda would be pretty evident.
Let's say the issue is that the remote isn't recognized by the TV. It can take several tries of pushing the buttons until it is recognized, especially if you had to reboot the TV to fix a software glitch.
Pity there aren't any easy hardware fixes.
I've heard of the remote becoming unresponsive because the spring that touches the negative terminal of the battery is stuck.
Short of taking the batteries out and putting them back in to make it make contact correctly, I don't want to mess with it for fear of breaking it.
The Fire TV remote can become unresponsive if the contacts between the panel with the buttons and the motherboard is damaged.
That's where sitting on it or spilling a drink on it can cause it not to work.
The same is true for corrosion.
I haven't had it long enough for that to be possible.
If you saw corrosion on the bottom contact because you hadn't switched out the old batteries for a while, you could use some steel wool to buff the contact so it can connect to the batteries properly.
That becomes a strong argument for using rechargeable batteries just to have to open it and switch them out more often.
Then there's the possibility the remote is fine and the signal is the problem.
I already read Amazon's tech support solution of turn off all the Bluetooth and wireless devices that may be interfering with the remote.
They also suggest trying the HDMI extender or adapter to improve the connectivity.
Of course, Amazon would suggest something else to buy from them.
All else fails, you can buy a new remote.